at the beginning say
Oh,
who they
Jim,
are? Thank
Jim,
you.
Jim, we have to do sort of a roll call as part of the formal sign into the meeting. So you'll hear everybody.
Okay,
I'm going to give people just a couple minutes.
fine, thanks.
And then I have to read a script, Jim,
Okay,
to start the meeting. It's only 7:03 now, so I think we can wait a couple minutes. Jim, I like your bookcase, Jim Stein. That's a great bookcase.
Yeah, it's better than the sloppy, messy room. But Forrest has real pictures.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, those are overseas places that we visited over the years. Selected shots.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you can start when you'd like. You're ready. You're live.
Okay, so I will go to the script. This meeting of Northborough Trails is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the Town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Trails Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Trails Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to, quote, Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube, and quote, not shown, but I'm sure it's there, via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. State your name. Say each attending member, oh, I'm probably not supposed to read that, but I will. So I'll basically say your name and I will wait for a verbal reply. Jim Stein.
Yes, Jim Stein's attending.
Forrest Lyford.
Yes, present.
Jim Klinkenberg.
Yes, Jim Klinkenberg present, but not visually.
Okay, so confirming that Jim is dialed in by cell phone. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative and state your name. Mia McDonald.
Mia McDonald present.
See, I'm seeing what these. So if anyone wants to make a presentation or to speak about something, just please state your full name. And then I will say, please go ahead, Mr. Lyford, for if possible, just please keep your devices on mute when you're not speaking. And when you do have to speak, please speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. And I think that's about it that pertains to us here on the committee. We don't typically do like have applications and things like that, which the rest of the stuff deals with. Okay, so let me find you guys again because you disappeared. Are you guys still there?
Yes, we're here.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I've been muted.
Jim is here. I just muted for the sake of not clattering around. I'm going to mute again.
So somehow oh, there you are. I lost all my video connection, but I minimized the screen. Okay, so what we typically do on an in-person meeting is, Mia kindly circulated minutes from the previous meeting. And hopefully you guys had a chance to read through those. I will assume that you did. And I make a motion to approve the minutes from the August meeting. And if anyone wants to second that motion, that's fine. Or if there are any omissions or objections, please feel free to state them now.
I'll second it if that's appropriate.
Okay, thank you, Forrest. That's the August minutes there. And so we can then put those meetings into the formal record as approved.
We also have the July minutes.
Oh, we have July.
Mhm.
So I actually did not get a chance to read through those, but if others have, if there are comments, we can discuss them now, or
Can you put it up again?
Of course. Can you see it?
Yep. Okay, I can second those minutes.
I can third them. They look accurate. So if no objections, then we can also enter the July minutes into the record.
Okay. All votes have to be done by roll call.
Okay. So Bob Mahalik, Chairman, I approve of the July and August minutes. Jim Stein,
Yes, Jim Stein, I also approve of the July and August minutes.
Forrest Lyford,
Yes, I approve of those minutes.
and Jim Klinkenberg.
I'm sorry, I cannot because I have not read those, but I have no objection.
Duly noted. And again, for the record, Jim is on dialing in by phone and can't see these on the computer monitor.
Thank you.
So Mia, if that's sufficient, we could enter the July and August minutes into the record.
Great, thank you.
The agenda is pretty much the same month to month. So if we move into the September, I just have a few points to make, regarding new business. The first one is, let's see, trail topics. Typically what we discuss is just maintenance activity. So my own personal update on maintenance activities is for the Stirrup Brook Trail, sorry, not Stirrup Brook, Old Farm Trail. I'm basically, that trail's kind of been getting overgrown by vegetation on the edge of the forest between the part of the trail that I'm referring to goes around essentially what was an old farm. Not so old either. I think even 4 or 5 years ago, that field broke corn, but it hasn't been plowed in several years, and basically it's getting very overgrown. So what I've done is gone in and basically started trimming back all the pricker bushes and the chokeberry and various things. Limbs, a lot of limbs have been pulled down by vines and they're kind of hanging down over the trail. So I've been going in there just, when I had a few spare hours and kind of trimming back to where it looks like the original trail used to be. It's it's taking a bit of time. I'm not done yet. But it's nice. I found some artifacts in there. So some old milk jugs. They were from a farm. They used to collect milk. And lots of poison ivy and prickle bushes, like that. So, hopefully I'll get that done before the end of the year. I just kind of go in when I have some time. A lot of it is just work with hand clipper, cutting stuff back. And hopefully then it'll just, that's part of the borough's loop. And we've had discussions over, the past few months about, just trying to make sure that any of the borough's loop trail sections that go through Northborough are in good shape. And so that was one of the things that kind of, when I was riding my mountain bike through there, it's like, oh, wow, this really needs some work. So I've been going through there, trimming some stuff back. It looks a little bit odd now because I'm about a third of the way done, and there's this massive part that's still heavily overgrown, and then the part that I've cleared. And I wonder what people think when they walk along there now and they see all this clearing, and then wonder, like, who brought a huge machine in here? But it's just me with the hand clippers. So that's that's a little bit of stuff going on. We have been talking with Mia about maybe getting some volunteers, some scout volunteers, to build new bridges on the Stirrup Brook Trail, mainly the section that goes from Route 20. I believe it would be heading south behind the high school and not going all the way to the aqueduct, but basically along there. There's a couple bridges right near Route 20 that are very narrow. They're hard to bring the mower in across to mow that little meadow section of the Stirrup Brook Trail. So, Mia, I don't know if any scouts were interested in helping us out with that.
The scouts that you met with last time, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. The scouts that did the Sparrow reroute, they said they may have some more hours. And so we did go ahead and put the permit in with the Conservation Commission. And so that's going to be on the agenda for next Monday, September 21st. And abutters have been notified. It'll be at the public meeting. So hopefully Conservation will give their blessing. But we don't have anyone lined up yet. I can reach out to that scout leader again and see if he does have more people interested.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great, because I think too, to go along with Chief Liver's request to get an ATV to patrol trails, which I think is a fabulous idea. It'd be nice to have some 48-inch wide bridges that if they needed to do a patrol or a rescue on the Stirrup Brook Trail, they could get the ATV in there.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can, we'll get approved. And it's really just a replacement. It would be nice to make the very first bridge a little bit longer, because it would just make it easier, not just for the mower, but even for the ATV. There's a fairly steep little rise that happens as you're heading in. And if we could make the bridge maybe 5 feet longer, we could angle it up, rise. I think definitely for the mower would make it easier. Terrain savvy. It would also make it easier if there's an officer on the ATV.
I was going to suggest that these don't have to be Eagle Scout projects. We could get, they can be lesser projects, like merit badge based things. So instead of it having to be this big massive thing, it could be simply replacing the bridge or adding another bridge beside it. Could be a complete project for some scouts. I mean, that probably isn't enough to be a full Eagle Scout project, but it might be some other thing.
You're right, Jim. Actually, that, I think, Mia, was the intent, right? Just to get some service hours for the scouts, and maybe for a merit badge or something like that, but not, not a full blown Eagle project.
That's right.
And then, okay, so that was old farm cleanup I mentioned. So since we're on the subject of Stirrup Brook, I shared a link on the Northborough Trail Travelers Facebook page And also emailed some of the Trails Committee volunteers. I think it's called savebartlett.org is the website. And it basically provides some information, quite frankly, against, to be 100% honest, against a new potential installation of a trucking warehouse or trucking depot that would be installed on Bartlett Street, very close, in very close proximity to the Stirrup Brook itself and the Stirrup Brook Trail. But I just wanted to make everybody aware, you know, of you know, the website, the contents of the website, the proposed location of this new trucking depot. And also, I believe, Mia, if I'm not mistaken, there's a meeting tomorrow night to discuss this. Is that correct?
Do you know who it is? Is it the planning board?
I think so, yeah.
Let me check their
Yes.
website.
Planning board is meeting virtually this Tuesday, September 15th at 5 p.m.
Okay.
According to the Save Bartlett website.
Okay. And I think that's just a forum for public comments and, you know, discussion on, you know, the, you know, so the wetland impact, the noise pollution, the air pollution from all the trucks, the truck traffic, those sorts of things that they detail on savebartlett.org website. Yeah, you know, I have mixed feelings about it. It took me a while to notice the big Iron Mountain warehouse that they put across the train tracks from Edmund Hill Woods. I don't know, like, if they chose the paint color very precisely or something, but it's almost hard to tell it's there. I mean, if you look at it, you think you're looking out through the trees at like a nice blue sky, but then you look a little bit more closely and you're like, oh no, that's the wall of this Iron Mountain warehouse. So it's not super unappealing visually, but you know, that's a different type of an industry there. These trucking depots. So there's a brand new one that they built a little bit farther down Bartlett. There's one right next to the aqueduct that's been there for a couple of years. And now there's this third one that's proposed. And I think everyone pointed you guys to the website, and also the Facebook members, you know, just to be aware of it and gather some information and see what you think about it. You know, I've walked through the area where they want to put it. You know, there's not a heck of a lot there. It's lots of pricker bushes and, you know, scrubby vegetation. But, you know, I saw deer droppings and places where deer have bedded down. It is right near the Stirrup Brook. You know, so it's, again, I think you just have to read about it and maybe form your own opinion. And I just encourage everybody to, you know, listen in at a minimum, listen in on the planning board meeting tomorrow and see on it.
Just for the record, it is a private group that's posting that. It's not the town, and the information on there, I looked at it and not all of it is accurate. So do use your own opinion and your own, you know, knowledge and just, you know, gather information, attend the meeting. Information is power.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good synopsis for you. That Mia, that's, you know, I don't want to, you know, bias people one way or another. Like I said, the Iron Mountain thing, I almost didn't even notice that it was there, and it's like right on the other side of the train tracks from the Goldfield Trail and Edmund Hill Woods. So, but yeah, read about it and see what you think. And that is a privately, I think some local residents who might hearing the backup beepers like that, they don't want it there, and that for sure.
And if you have any project specific questions, feel free to call me. It did get through conservation. And so, you know, it took about 6 months. And so I'm very familiar with the project. It was a very laborious review process. So.
Yeah, I was wondering about it too, Bob. When I read it, it's like, how is this really going to affect things? Is it going to be an environmental impact? Is it going to make the area look ugly? Otherwise, you know, do I want to stop progress?
Yeah,
was sort of split on whether it was good or bad.
They did have to do a full environmental notification, endangered species review, conservation review, drainage, stormwater, uh, base flood elevation evaluation, habitat restoration. They've done like it was intense. It's a big project. It was a big review process. They triggered a lot of thresholds. So I think what I understand the current status is that it's in front of planning board for site plan review, and the planning board has requested a peer review for drainage and environmental impacts, which were part of the
I-
conservation review.
I don't know if there's anything that like judges the beauty impact. It's like if they strip all the trees,
I
and it
know.
might not affect the environment, but it would look ugly on the far side of the stream.
Mhm.
That would be something I would be against, sort of. But if they could try to maintain trees and vegetation and stuff.
I can say, that just I'm a very objective person. They're maintaining a 100-foot buffer,
Oh,
because
okay.
there's a minimum. That's the minimum. You still, I confirm I think someone's tuning in. Let me just see if someone needs to be let in. But I confirm the wetland delineation. Oh, for some reason, my participants aren't. 1 second. It's Cheryl Devine. Cheryl's coming in. I confirm the wetland delineation, which included the stream bank and the associated wetland. And the bank has a 200-foot riparian zone, and they weren't allowed to touch the first 100. So the closest they came is the 100-foot buffer off the stream. So I believe Cheryl just joined us. Are you there, Cheryl?
I am. Hi. So sorry to
Hello.
be so tardy.
it's okay, Cheryl. Mia, does Cheryl have to identify herself? Is it?
We can just go ahead, Cheryl.
I'm Cheryl Devine, and I'm late.
Welcome, Cheryl. This is Jim Klinkenberg.
Thank you. Hi.
I have no image, but I'm listening. And I had more to talk about, about trails when it's appropriate.
Right, Jim. Yeah, so I think, Cheryl, just to catch you up, we're just having a brief discussion on a potential trucking depot. That's a third one now going in along Bartlett Street, right near the Stirrup Brook itself and the Stirrup Brook Trail. And on the Facebook group and also via email, I just, there is a private website that a local resident or multiple local residents, I'm not sure, started, called savebartlett.org, that presents their view of this trucking depot that they want to put in. It's basically generally like across from the Lyman Street, Bartlett Street. It's a little bit farther down, like across from Lammy Automotive, kind of that area. But back in is where they want to put this thing. And there is a planning board meeting, virtual meeting tomorrow. Jim Stein said 5 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what the website says. But like Mia said, it's
5 p.m.
It's not the official.
Right. So just to catch up, Cheryl, that's where we what we were discussing when you joined in.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
That hearing is scheduled for 6 p.m. on their agenda. Continued public hearing for 0 Bartlett Street.
Oh, 6 p.m.
Yeah. So their meeting starts at 5, but the agenda shows that item on at 6.
Okay. Oh, and I just forgot to mention, our volunteer Brian Belfer text messaged me and indicated he's traveling and wouldn't be in tonight. So that's Brian's typically here, but that's where he is tonight, just on the road. So let's see. Then the only other thing I wanted to mention, let's see, just going along on the agenda, equipment updates, nothing new. I mowed the grass around the shed, the storage shed. That's
Thank
not really
you.
an equipment update. And then new projects. So I did connect Mia with Declan,
Oh,
Eagle
good.
Scout candidate Declan. He indicated that they don't need physical signatures anymore on Eagle Scout proposals. That just an email indicating that I've read the proposal, I understand the scope of the work. That's pretty much it. He can show that to the I forget what the
council.
Scout Council. And that would be sufficient. So I guess it's, another step to, if you don't have to, be within 6 feet of somebody,
Yeah.
then that's sufficient.
So he wants to start this Saturday. I don't know if we'll be able to get all that wood for Saturday.
That might be tough too. I'm not sure where Brian is going. And so Brian has the big list of materials.
Okay.
And yeah, that might be tough to get everything delivered to the Smith Road parking lot by Saturday. Ideally, that's what we would do is we have, now, do we still have an account at Home Depot in Shrewsbury? Okay.
I have to log in. It's like under Fred's email and there's a password, it's just like you and I would. But the one we use associated with our town credit card is that one. So I do have to log in, but if you could help me, I could even give you like the login because I don't think the password's saved in the I'm just worried I'm going to order the wrong wood. I'm not a builder.
Yeah, me either, unfortunately.
Oh, so I'll have to get Brian to do it.
Yeah, I'll connect with Brian and see, he may be just be doing, maybe doing a day trip.
Okay.
Mountain biking or something. Well, maybe not because I'll try and get in touch with him. He may be able just to order this stuff, even if he's down at the Cape or something. Just order it and write brackets and hardware and that.
Yeah, if he calls me, we could put the cart together and then we'll be able to see right then if we can even get the stuff. I hired a handyman and he's like, it's really hard to get supplies and wood right now. It takes weeks. So
Wow.
I'm a little worried that we won't be able to get this stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I'll connect with Brian ASAP and do, and also I'll send this email to Declan and also let him know about this potential problem with, getting materials.
Mm-hmm.
Do you happen to know, he's not close to aging out, is he?
I think he's like October, November. So he does have to, maybe December. Because, how I got plenty of time. I'm not turning 18 till December. I'm like, that's right around the corner. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're 18, it seems like far time away. But all right, so we'll move on that as quickly as we can.
Okay. And he could call around too. Like if he has the list, he could call, and I would definitely be happy to work with him to call and get purchase orders if he needs to go to like a Rockies or Barrows or something.
Okay. Yep. So we'll work on that. And then I see we have on here Edmund Hill restoration and trail relocation. I haven't been out there in a couple weeks. I'm hoping people are abiding, respecting the property boundaries of, what is it, Ann Ostriken? I forget the gentleman's name.
Chris Ost, the current property owner of the summit.
Yes, the new trail is definitely being used.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and it's great. I love it. A lot of positive feedback about it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's better than it used to be. It's a bonus.
Yeah, it's twisty.
Yeah, the old one was straight up.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's really lovely now.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, it's being used.
Yeah, as I mentioned to Bob, this is Jim Quinkenberg. As I mentioned to Bob, I was sort of confused at first, but yeah, I like it too. It looked like really a lot of work had been done, and I was quite impressed.
Yeah, it was actually, so one of the things I think Brian and also too, Marielle Stone is very good at this, is looking, because they do so much mountain biking, where you traverse the ground at a slightly higher speed than just walking. They have a really good eye at like looking for how the terrain flows. And, Brian and Forrest too, they went ahead of the rest of us and kind of laid that out fairly quickly. And then the rest of the week, I don't think we had to cut even a single tree. I think it was just working with what was there and maneuvering around. There might have been a couple stumps that were in the way. But for the most part, it was Brian has this phrase called rake and ride. And we really just raked it out, Jim. Cut some little branches maybe that were hanging over and would have hit people in the face. And it was ready to go. I think even almost by noon of that work day, there's maybe 12 of us there, 13 of us there, and it was fun.
Nice.
So I'm glad I did get some emails from people that were, Jim, like you, were a bit confused because they could look up behind I threw a bunch of debris on the existing trail to steer people towards the new trail. And a few people, they looked up ahead and they saw the no trespassing signs and they were like, where do I go? But they figured it out.
Bob, did you
It's
guys
really
blaze
clear.
it?
No, I don't think so, Mia.
Okay. What color are the blazes up there? I can go up and blaze. Is it red? I have pictures. Cheryl, do you know?
I can't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know,
Let
Mia.
me see. I think it might be red. I'll look. I have lots of photos.
Oh, that's right, because you were up there. You laid it out sort of the property line.
Did you find the jumps? I
Yeah.
found these rocks that would be great mountain bike jumps. And I was like, oh, these want a road. It's perfect. Huge boulders like buried in the ground.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if we went straight over one of those, and I think we did a little zigzag around another one.
Oh, good.
But then there was actual jumps that some rogue mountain bikers built that we dismantled and dispersed.
I remember those. Yeah.
Fortunately, there weren't any asphalt shingles or anything like they had up at Mount Pisgah. It was
Ooh.
Just a couple of comments, if I can. I've walked the trail 2 or 3 times since it was constructed. By the way, Brian was largely 99% responsible for laying out that trail. I was
Oh,
just
good.
following behind. But a couple of points of interest. I was out there 2 or 3 days ago, and it was interesting. This is after the really heavy rains last week. And with all the curves and so forth, there's virtually no runoff on the trails yet. I suppose that could change as they get worn down, but that's good.
Yeah.
Also, I find the trail is very interesting in a number of respects. There's some sassafras. There's kind of a little grove of sassafras trees there. That's kind of interesting. And there's a cucumber magnolia up near the intersection with the other trail. And there may be some others out there too. So, some interesting, quite a few chestnut sprouts too. So it's kind of an interesting nature walk from my point of view. It's good. Good job. Great effort.
It really is great.
This is Jim Klinkenberg.
Hey, Jim.
I was kind of confused by some like colored plastic tags tied to trees, and I didn't know if that meant anything. And sometimes they were different. I think there were at least 3 different colors, like pink and orange and blue. Does that mean anything?
Was that recently?
No, I haven't been there recently.
Okay, so there used to be disc golf hung orange and blue. I hung pink for the new trail. And then 3-4 weeks ago, we ripped down all the disc golf flagging. Did you guys take down the pink flagging when you put the new trail in, or is the pink flagging still up?
Still there.
Still there.
All right, I'll go up. I'll blaze what needs to be blazed, and I'll rip the pink flagging down, especially if it's getting used. It seems like people aren't getting confused.
Yeah.
Okay. The pink flagging was there to help people like see the new path.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely used that during the installation, that we wanted to make sure we were on the public side of the pink flagging, not the private property. But yeah, so that's good. I'm glad people are using it. And I don't have all the details, but I know Brian was with, and I completely spaced out about this, but Brian met some scouts up at Mount Pisgah 1 or 2 weekends ago. And I'm not exactly sure what they did up there.
They moved the Sparrow Trail.
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
you were for.
Yeah, they were doing it last weekend. Some scouts needed some service hours, and the Sparrow Trail was ready to go. We flagged that in the spring, but we just haven't been able to get out there to move it. That remember, it went straight up. We
Right.
moved it over straight up. So this is a new zigzag to avoid future erosion, and it looks really good. I visited it. They did a nice job.
I'll have to go check that out. Mia, are there any update on the angry bees on that
The
little?
angry
Yeah.
bees.
Yeah.
Forrest was asking, I guess his wife got stung on Edmund Hill, but we did
Yeah.
get reports from at least
Oh.
2 people. One gentleman, there was a bunch of yellow jackets. Do you know so on Pisgah, there's the loop. And then that's something we have to get to later is there's this little trail that connects the loop to Sparrow Trail. There's 2 of them. If you come in from the loop from the parking lot and take a left, there's an entrance there. The first left is this old but illegal, not named trail. And then the second left is a second one, another connector up to Sparrow. The first one, the Conservation Commission decided last month they want to keep that one. People get lost on it. It's not labeled. It's very old. There's a lot of stonework on it. We use the heat maps to show that there's a lot of activity on it as well. It's one of the most used trails on Pisgah. That's where the bees are right now. I guess there's a yellow jacket hornet or hornet's nest, and it attacked a man and his wife and their dog and followed them all the way into their car. She ended up in the hospital because she's allergic to bees. I did call them as soon as I got the message and just said, "How is your wife?" He said she's okay. You know, she's fine. She's recovering. The dog is fine. He had to go to the vet, and even in the ER, they were shaking bees out of their clothes. It was awful. So Brian put something up on the Facebook page just for people to watch out. I guess it's just one of the hazards. You know, we didn't send an exterminator up or anything.
Okay.
Thank God. But they're the nasty kind. The yellow jacket, the hornets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they live in the ground, I think.
they
With a-
can. Yeah.
There's not necessarily like a big nest hanging from a limb that you could avoid. You just walk by and they sense the vibration and they attack.
Mm-hmm. And another couple people commented on Brian's post that they had also been chased down the hill, but I haven't heard anything recently. So maybe the rains washed them out.
So Mia, we were tasked with possibly naming this trail.
Yes. If you want to have that discussion, we're working on updating the maps, the Conservation Commission. And so that is one of the trails. So the first left there coming from the parking lot onto the loop, you take a left at the fork for the loop. Then your very next left actually brings you up to Sparrow Trail. It crosses Howard Brook. There's a lot of nice stonework in there, and it's extremely used. We used the Strava heat map data layers, and it was one of the most used trails on the hill. So they want to keep it. They want to get it on the maps and label it. And then that second left does dart into private property. So we want to try to close that one off.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, it's nice to to have the opportunity to name a trail, and I would defer to Forrest on. I think years ago, Forrest, you put a bunch of not historical, but there was like a nature walk up there with those nice posts that were in the ground that had plaques on them, and
Yeah.
maybe we could come up with some historical name for that connector trail. I mean, we could name it the Forest Trail in your honor.
Yeah, with one R, the Forest Trail with one R.
Yeah.
There
ought to be there's probably some historical name or feature or something out there that we can use.
Yeah, because Mensner, right, is, I guess, I don't know where that name came from.
So that used to be part of, oh, go ahead.
I thought it was the farm that was there on top of Pisgah.
It was I could be wrong, but it's the Whipsanucky Hunting Lodge originally, and then it was a Girl Scout camp. So Whipsanucky's a hard word, though. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Oh, Brian's coming. He's coming into the meeting.
I think we should find some Native American name, and they're under pressure so many places. It would be a nice gesture to remember and respect the people who were here before us. This is Jim Kay.
That's a good idea, Jim.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Like if there are the name of a Native American tribe from this area, you know, in the 1500s or something, 1600s.
You know, that trail, it'd be kind of cumbersome, but of course, I'm always thinking about the geology, and that trail is right on the Clinton-Newbury fault zone that extends all the way from Newbury, Massachusetts down to about there. It's a feature that you can see on large-scale maps, and it's an important geologic feature, but that's kind of awkward and may be difficult to explain. I don't know.
How about the fault trail?
The what? Fault trail?
The
Yeah,
fault trail.
that ought to raise a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
don't like that name that
subduction-
much.
How about the subduction zone trail?
Subduction, yes.
Well, anyway, we'll keep thinking.
Yeah. There's a Led Zeppelin song. The title is Nobody's Fault But Mine. We could call it Nobody's Fault Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have multiple.
I like the
connotations, I guess.
multiple references.
Hmm.
Right. But yeah, so we don't have to decide now, but it, you know, it's not too common of an opportunity where we, you know, we do get to name something. And you know, so yeah, everyone think about it. We could bring it up as an agenda item for October. You know, and see what we can do. And then we'll just, you know, it's not a major thing, but you know, SVT, Sudbury Valley Trustees would you know, Jim Stein, I think we still have links, or actually no, we lost. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mia's been.
Do we link to SVT maps still, Mia?
We don't have our external link page.
Oh, okay.
I think we
no,
do.
Yeah, the maps. I think you transferred the maps as they were, and some of them were SVT maps.
So we're going to work with SVT. They're actually going to make the new map because we're going to work with Fish and Wildlife and Berlin, and they have a regional map, and so we can make our Northborough map update our. And when we say the Northborough map, we really mean that the layer on our GIS page. When you go, that's our GIS data. And then that same data is going to be used. We actually have someone coming with a Trimble, which is a really nice GPS unit from Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. They're going to come out next Wednesday. They have a grant to help every community in their region. So that we're going to have them come out and do Pisgah, and I'm going to have them grab the loop connector. And we're going to try to make a more clear map. So SVT is really good. They have a great mapping guy, Dan Stimpson, and he'll use, you know, color coding and legends to show allowed uses, access, entrances, parking, ownership, you know, because hunting's allowed on Fish and Wildlife and on a parcel that Northborough owns, but has a restriction from Fish and Wildlife. There's all these different layers of ownership and permissions and uses. So they're going to make a nice regional map that includes Berlin as well. And we'll link to that on our website, and then update our GPS data on our town GPS.
Wow, I've never seen maps like that. I'd like to add some on maps.
Okay.
This is Jim Kay. Yeah, the best maps I've seen of any like nature places in Massachusetts were put out. I don't know if the group is active, but when my wife Wendy and I were dating, we sometimes went orienteering.
Uh-huh.
And there's a club that was called NEOC, New England Orienteering Club, and they put out maps at a whole bunch of like state parks and reserved things. And way back when, before Google Earth, I mean, they would even hire planes to take pictures.
Really?
And they would make maps with like any boulder that was like, I don't know, more than 6 feet high appeared on the maps. I mean, they just did amazing jobs with details for the orienteers.
Let's see. They still have a website.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, okay.
I'm
It
not
was
seeing-
interesting. We went to a dinner once, and we were all crammed together. So many people wanted to go, and yeah, everybody's knees bumping everybody's. It wouldn't happen in COVID times, but it seemed like 40% of the leadership in the organization were either Swedish or definitely Swedish names. And Klinkenberg's Norwegian, by the way, but you know, any Scandinavians are fine with me. But go ahead.
I was just saying that the Scandinavians they love their outdoors. You know, they just year round, rain, ice, snow, doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's two concepts that I'm sorry to take up meeting time, or call me up if you want to laugh. So maybe I'll skip it. There's two concepts that are totally non-Norwegian. Maybe I'll just skip it. But I also wanted to talk about other trails. And personally, I've hurt myself, and my back has been giving me a lot of trouble. And I think it was because I foolishly ran, well, it was on the Birdsong Trail, but you know, which has some ups and downs, but there were a lot of footfalls that were right onto stone or roots. And I only ran about 12 minutes, but I don't usually run. I'm just hiking. And then I skipped a day, and then the next day I did it again. And it was after that, I did have some back issues before, but it really flared up. So I'm trying to take care of myself with that. But I noticed so many of the trails are so heavily eroded. I mean, it's good that they're getting more use, but I wondered about this idea. Maybe we could shift on some of the popular trails. I always use Old Farm Trail the most. And anyway, if the trail path could be shifted around extra, you know, bare roots or rocky zones or something. But
yeah, there's definitely there's a lot of compaction. You know, the dirt compacts and the rocks don't. And then you end up with these surfaces where you're essentially, and I think I know the exact section of Birdsong you're talking about, where it's pretty tricky. I mean, it's tricky even just to walk through that section of Birdsong Trail. If I'm thinking about what you're referring to, it's kind of almost closer to the Assabet River than it is to Route 20. But yeah, it's some areas we can't shift them, Jim, because especially that some of the areas on Birdsong are very wet, and like I think there's like 6 bridges between the Assabet River and like that first, maybe the first higher part of Birdsong Trail. And it's still wet even now, despite this drought that we're in. So yeah, it's kind of tough. I think in some spaces we have a fairly narrow corridor where we're allowed to have the trail go, and there's not much room. We were successful at Edmund Hill, with this. Essentially, we were forced to reroute the trail, but like Forrest mentioned, we did have some heavy rains, and he didn't see any signs of erosion. So that's good, because that trail that we cut short and went into the woods. I mean, that thing was a stream. Whenever it was raining out, the water just went straight down that, washing away. And you could see down at the bottom of the Edmund Hill Trail, all the silt that would get washed down. It was almost like a little beach down there.
Sort of along that line, the Summit Trail is pretty much a straight shot downhill, and there's it serves as a stream during rainfall events. You might consider putting a few bends in that to, reroute that slightly, just so that there isn't a straight shot downhill. Something to consider anyway.
Of course, the section that goes down towards the senior center.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely. It looks like a stream bed.
Yeah.
The only thing missing is the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the appetite would be. We might have to kind of leave Edmund Hill Woods alone for about a year, maybe, before asking if you did do anything else there. Um, I did see this technique though of building water bars. Basically, what it consisted of is there you can buy these kits for your garage door, and basically what it is, it's a big long strip of rubber that you can. The idea is you attach it to the bottom of your garage door if you're getting rodents running into your garage and things like that. Well, what some people did was they got say you have a trail that's 8 feet wide. You get an 8-foot piece of, say, 2x8 pressure treated lumber. On the narrow part of the lumber that dimensionally is about 1.5 inches wide, you get a router, and you cut a groove with the router that you can then put this rubber garage door strip in, and then you basically you embed that in the trail on an angle where the wood is almost completely buried in the ground, and the only thing sticking up is this rubber flap. So bikes can ride over it, and the flap just folds over, and if you happen to stub your toe on it, it's not like you're kicking a board, it's just rubber flap. But when water comes running down the hill, then it very successfully diverts the water off to the side. Some people have made them in the years with, if there's a business closing down and they had a rubber conveyor belt, you could use old conveyor belts to do the same thing, and those are a bit tougher. And then there's just a traditional, just kind of stack rocks up on an angle. Go off to the side of the trail, find rocks. And up at the Doyle Conservation Center, I took a class on sort of the proper way to do that. You have to do a bit of digging and sort of bury your lower layer of rocks in first, and then you put another layer up. But the general idea, whether it's a conveyor belt or a garage door strip or something, is just divert the water so it just doesn't go from top to bottom, carrying all the dirt with it. There's definitely some areas at Mount Pisgah that could use that. Edmund Hill for sure. Birdsong, that part of Birdsong that I think you were talking about, Jim, maybe where you hurt your back. I think that's just compaction. I don't think that's really, which is going to happen.
No, that's what happened to my spine and my sacrum or something.
Right. Yeah, you compacted your disc.
Cedar Hill
Thank
could
you.
do that too. Little TLC.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a good one too, Cheryl. That one's really that's
really bad.
That little trail.
Mhm.
That's a tough one to go up and down. So yeah, I don't know, Mia. Like, do we need permission necessarily to put in water breaks on trails?
Unless you're doing work in a wetland, you can just consider it maintenance.
Okay.
And if you ever have a question, you just, put a flag up or a stake, and take some pictures and I'll go visit it. Like Declan's Bridge. I mean, it was a huge bridge and it's Conservation Commission land, so we had to ask permission. But otherwise, like I think a water bar, I would just notify the commission and be like, hey, they're putting water bars in to prevent erosion. So I think it would just be considered maintenance.
Okay. That's good.
Hello?
Of interest, I went out to Cedar Hill last week and was happy to learn that the connector trail is open now. Has that been that way for a long time?
Yeah, I just hiked that last week too. It was beautiful.
Is that Southborough? Which Cedar Hill?
Westboro and Northboro, I think. The Sawing Loop, Walnut Hill, Cedar Hill.
Yeah, it's very well maintained, by the way.
Yeah, I went out there with the mower. Only to discover that I think SVT mowed it the week before. So it got mowed twice, whether it needed it or not.
Where's the connector trail? Is that by the water treatment facility?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that connects the the Sawing Loop and the Walnut Hill Trail. And it goes around this, it's got this very weird kind of a rock wall that has a steel cage that holds the rocks up. And then it comes out into this brand new water pumping station that they built. You could either go straight towards the water pumping station or make a left and you'd go down the Crane Swamp Trail. And I believe the Nectar Trail is part of the Burroughs Loop,
I
if
think
I'm
so.
not mistaken.
It was closed for construction for a long time. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very nice area. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's pretty.
They did put a weird gate up there. I'm not quite sure why, that I can barely get the mower through. And I'm not sure the role of that gate because you can't even get into where the water pumping station is. Enormous steel yellow gates that are up there. You can't get by those with the car, and I don't know why they put in this other separate gate at the trailhead. But I can get the mower in there. It's a pretty tight fit, but it's kind of pointless.
Thank you for reminding me. I haven't been over in those sections for a while now.
Yeah, you should go. You should head over there, Jim.
Yeah.
Especially the summit of Cedar Hill. There's a nice little bench there. There's a kiosk that usually has some information on different birds and things like that. And just a beautiful view, looking out. I'm guessing you're looking kind of south, which would be looking over Westboro when you're up there. But yeah, it's a spectacular area. It's big too. I think it rivals Mount Pisgah for acreage. 2,000, 2,500 acres, something like that.
Wow.
All right. Well, Mia, do you have anything else you wanted to discuss?
I do. I just want to
I-
share something. Let Jim go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, the trails I have been walking, which most recently just kind of near to me, and anyway, or wherever I go, the Burroughs Loop thing confuses me because I've been on a number of different sections of it, but I'm surprised, like when I meet other hikers and say, "Oh yeah, this is the Burroughs Loop," because it sort of pops up in a lot of places. And with a friend, I hiked almost 2 hours along the Sudbury Reservoir, even though it's not near Sudbury at all. It's basically in Southborough.
Oh.
And there's a trail that's above the shore there. Anyway, all very nice. But what I've seen that's a problem for me, now that I'm a grandpop, all the more my wife and I are scrupulous about, using a mask and keeping distance and so forth. And a lot of people using the trails don't realize how narrow they get. And they're not thinking of bringing a mask with them. I don't know if it's legal everywhere to put up a sign. You may want to bring a mask. Some places the trail is narrow. I usually call out to people and let them know I have a mask. Sometimes there's bikers or runners, or they have to breathe. Okay, and I step like 7 feet off into the woods or something. But even today, more often than not, like say there's a couple and they're walking the dog, and maybe they don't expect to see anyone, but it's kind of a bother because, you have to kind of scramble away. But I'm glad people are, like right near Boundary Road, there is a sign about the mosquitoes. I don't know how many places that is up or on the ground very visible as you come from the trailheads. Does anyone know?
You mean like for Triple E?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've seen any of those signs.
Yeah, that was put up last year. There's one on the farm trail
Oh,
near Boundary Street.
wow.
I don't
That's
know if
right.
it's still there, but that's where I've seen it.
Yeah, I just saw that today,
Yeah,
which is a good reminder.
I had a similar experience, Jim. I think a lot of people maybe think, okay, I'm outside, I don't need my mask, and
Right.
I'm doing maintenance or I'm running the mower or something like that. In general, I think people are cognizant. It's almost like they seem surprised when they see somebody else, and then I've had people almost like jump off the trail to create 6 feet of distance, and then I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I'm just walking through with the mower here. So yeah, I kind of think it's sort of both things that people know what to do when they encounter somebody, but they don't expect to encounter somebody. So you kind of have both dynamics going on. I've also seen people walking towards me and they have a mask around their wrist and they just put it on and they keep going.
Yeah, I like to see that too, because if if I'm getting short of breath, I mean, I always have it like hanging right at my neck or something like that.
Yeah. So most people I've seen have masks with them and they'll loop it up over their ears when, and I'll do the same, when we go by each other.
Yeah, that's the place I want to live.
Yeah. But yeah, some people just don't have it with them and aren't really aware that it's a thing and stuff. So, but I do what you do. If I see that they don't have a mask and they're not going to step off the trail, then I step off the trail.
Right. You have to.
And let them go by. And, I usually say something, thanks for hiking or, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, hopefully it won't be too much longer. And I don't know when a vaccine's going to come out, 2025 or something.
Less than 5 years.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a thing. I think most of it has to do with people being outside and not necessarily thinking they're going to see.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see, like Labor Day itself. There were so many trailheads that were just stuffed full of cars and trucks. You could drive around for half an hour to a whole bunch of trails, and everybody was out. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's good to see. We have almost 900 members on the Facebook site.
Wow.
873, something like that. I just happened to take notice earlier today when I put that link up for the SaveBartlett.org website. And I was like, wow, 873. So that's good, I guess. But that's not a bad idea. I think it would be worthwhile to put something up on there and just remind people, bring a mask with you when you're out on the trails. In case a big group comes by and you don't want to have 30 people step off into the critter bushes just because someone doesn't have a mask. And I've seen some, like you said, some very big groups of people coming through, and they were masked up. So I was impressed.
Could you post something on the Facebook page, Bob? The DCR has a really great using the trails COVID infographic, and the town of Shrewsbury has one too for their parks. That I know DCR has been posting it at their trailheads. I find that any signs we put up get ripped down. So I find the best way to conduct public outreach in Northborough is through social media.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'll look at that. And I don't think they would object to me putting it.
No, they like it. They want you to share it. Talks about, just maintaining, wear your mask, maintain 6 foot distance, keep your pets away from people, that wash your hands.
Mhm.
So,
Look out for ticks.
yep.
They don't have COVID, but they have
Speaking
Lyme
of ticks,
disease.
yeah, it is tick season, and we still have all the normal pests. So I wrote, oh gosh, I got to get the right direction here. Can you see this?
Yeah.
It's the size of a credit card. It's called a tick ID tool. You keep it in your wallet.
Wow.
It comes on a handy dandy little card. If any of you want one of these, just email me with your address and I'll stick it in an envelope. This comes right off. This is the card you keep in your wallet. It's a wallet card for a tick ID tool. And even I've heard from the person who gave it to us, it's from UMass extension, tickreport.com is out of a UMass extension. There's a little circle right here that you can actually use to remove the tick.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm not sure how well that works, but I haven't tried yet. I usually just rip them out with needle nose pliers. And then
Do they put a picture of the dangerous ticks right on the card?
They do. The card
Oh,
has a
that's
bunch of information and where you can send your tick to get tested if you do have one that you think is one of the dangerous. And this is a card you keep right in your wallet. And then she gave us way too many of these signs. So these, I think I would like to put in kiosks. They screw in top and bottom. So I'm going to bring a drill and just screw them into some of our kiosks. And then on that topic of Eagle Scout, or I don't know if any of you want to do it, the Pisgah kiosk is just misery incarnate. So if anybody is in the mood for building a kiosk, otherwise, if I get an Eagle Scout, that's going to be on the list. So
okay.
the plexiglass is bent and scratched and beat up, and we're trying to increase our information out there. So
wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
But are you okay with me putting these signs up on the kiosks?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. They look official. I think people won't rip them down, especially if I screw them in.
Yeah. And I think too, like you said, I think people with all the COVID talk have kind of forgotten that, there still is triple E and Lyme disease, all those other fun things are still here too. And it's always good to be aware, don't forget to check for ticks and, or, light colored clothing. I've had really good luck. I don't know if you guys have tried this stuff called permethrin.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an extract of chrysanthemum flowers. And you don't put it on your skin. What you do is, get your favorite hiking pants and hiking socks, and you drench them with this stuff. Like, use a whole bottle for a pair of socks and a pair of pants, and then you let it dry. And then you wear the stuff, and it survives several laundering processes, 5 or 6 laundering processes. It's pretty persistent. It's not that expensive. And I've seen ticks crawling 4 or 5 inches
Great.
on your pant leg, and they just fall right off. I guess it's the odor. I don't know. I don't think it's a toxic reaction. I think they just don't like smell of it or something like that. Walmart sells it. It's in a yellow spray bottle that's kind of like a rectangular spray bottle with yellow plastic and black lettering on it. It's like $7. And so I just have, a couple pair of trail work pants and trail work socks, and I drench them with this stuff, once or twice a year, and knock on wood, no ticks. And I'm out like this farm rehab that I'm doing, tearing the brush down. Like I'm in the pricker bushes and the chokeberry and the vines. And this one guy came walking by and he's like, "Oh man, you're in tick country out there." And I told him about permethrin, and he's like, "Oh, I got to try that." So just as a, it's like I said, the important thing is don't put it on your skin. I don't know what would happen if you did, but it's meant to treat clothing. Definitely worth a shot if any of you guys are finding.
I started about a year ago with permethrin, and I haven't had to. At the same time, I bought a case of bug spray because I was using so much bug spray, and I don't like that I'm using so much bug spray. So I bought the permethrin and treated some garments, and I still have the case of bug spray. I haven't had to use bug spray this year. They just leave me. I've treated, one can will treat socks, pants, and a shirt.
Mhm.
So I have a lightweight long sleeve shirt with a hood. I also have a gaiter. It's called a buff gaiter, and it's treated. And those are nice because they work as a mask. But if during black fly season, I can just pull it right over my head. I treat my hat. My hat's always treated. I wear that to shopping sometimes, and it's bright orange. But the permethrin's great. The one can lasts 6 to 7 washings. You can also buy clothes called Insect Shield is one of the brands. it's industrially treated. There's also places you can send the clothes away to be industrially treated, and those are good for up to 40 washings. And so I
Wow.
did get some lightweight insect shield pants from Duluth, which Duluth isn't selling them anymore, but I did get them, and it's been over a year and there's still no ticks. I haven't got, and I'm a tick, like when I used to hike, I would get a dozen on average. I used to carry a bottle of alcohol and I would just put them all in there. There's too many. And I got Lyme disease. So
Oh,
yeah. So it was time to spend the money and get the industrial treated clothes, and it's really working.
yeah, it's good stuff. I think it's underreported how effective the permethrin is.
Mm-hmm.
Can we back up a few lines? You mentioned that you could use a kiosk at
Pisgah.
Pisgah.
Yes.
I couldn't remember if there was one up there or not.
There is. It's kind of fallen apart.
The one on the canal trail in the Yellow area, that's essentially superfluous at this point because there's already one there. Wouldn't be too hard to dig that out and move it.
That's a great idea.
I mean, it was built by a Boy Scout, but maybe we could acknowledge, his effort some other way rather than, I think there's a little plaque on it, but maybe
Yeah.
just a post there would be satisfactory. I think it could be dug out fairly easily. It's held. I was there when they built it, and it just has some cement around. I think we could probably dig it out and move it, or I can pull out the F. Lyford plans for for kiosks, and we can build another one. I think we used to figure about $200 for.
I was gonna say about a tenth of the price of the professionally done ones.
What was that?
About a tenth of the price of the
Yeah.
ones that the contractor does.
Yeah. Well, they've held up pretty well. The one near the senior center was the first one that was put in, and that's been there for 10 years.
Yeah, that's in good shape.
At least 10 years, and it seems to hold up pretty well. So,
It does look good.
yeah.
Mia, do you think that we would need the Chapin Canal kiosk for, are we gonna do anything in the Chapin Canal with the loop around the meadow?
We should maintain it. We should mow it. It's in. The Boy Scout put it in. I was just out there. It's very overgrown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you feel like mowing it,
I will for sure.
did any of you take the map out of that kiosk?
It is out.
It's out.
I didn't do it, but I noticed it was out.
Yeah, I think the neighbor took it out. I just haven't been able to. I mean, I have a map, but I was usually when we order them, we order a few, and we were waiting for the Pisgah maps. So right now that kiosk is completely empty, and it had some historical pictures in it too, but they're all gone. And I don't know if that kiosk, a couple kiosks you need a drill to open, and some of them have the latches. I don't know what that one is.
That might be a drill.
I think it's a drill. I think someone brought a drill out and took everything out of that kiosk.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I can get out there for sure with the mower.
Okay.
And then,
but we can put that map in the other kiosk. Though it's,
right.
Like 100 feet away.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to try and move that one then. And just, I'll put it in the back of my truck, and probably what we can do is dig it out, break the cement off of the posts, and then just bring the kiosk up and re-cement it in up at Mount Pittscut at Smith Road.
Yeah, if you could dig out the posts, the cement, you could knock the cement off with a sledgehammer and start over again.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So.
All right.
It actually just reminded me, I haven't looked closely at it, but there's a bridge by what used to be the entrance to the Bennett Trail, which is now no longer used as an entrance because Berlin built that nice one in the school bus turnaround. But that bridge might be something that can be used somewhere else. I don't know. If someone wants
it's
to
right
grab
next
it.
to the road, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just overgrown. I mean, no, it's not used anymore because they have that really nice new entrance in Berlin.
Yeah, it's always good to know. We could maybe pull it out and even just put it behind the shed. And then if we need it somewhere, we'd have it. Yeah, I think we'll take a look at that. Mia, did you want to discuss the
Yes, the
open
public
space plan?
forum. So there's a public forum this Wednesday. We're looking for feedback on we had our survey. We're going to review the survey for the open space and recreation plan update for the town that's currently underway. It was supposed to be done by now, but COVID slowed everything down. So we're going to continue on now and have our public forum where we try to solicit public feedback. And some of the questions are going to be, what are your most used spaces? What are your areas of improvement? We're going to use the feedback. The Open Space Committee is going to use the feedback to move forward on the creation of their finalization of their goals and objectives for the plan. So if you can come to the meeting, your input would be very valuable. If you can't, you can also submit written input too. If you want to watch the YouTube video, if you can't make it that night, you can watch the YouTube video later and submit an email.
Okay, so they want, it says, please RSVP to Sarah by 5 p.m. tomorrow.
You can just come.
Oh.
She and I thought I was supposed to do the outreach. So I started the outreach with just a Zoom code. And then later she created this beautiful flyer that's much nicer than mine that said with an RSVP. But she's like, so to prevent bombing. I'm like, well, I think I ruined that by advertising the Zoom code everywhere. So it's on the Open Space Committee website. The Zoom code's right there.
And then the meeting is on the 16th.
This Wednesday from 7 to 8:30. Yep.
And what sort of things do people historically bring up? Like, we need more ball fields or less ball fields, or?
Yep. So I think sidewalks are going to be the big topic. People want to see connectivity between the spaces because it's recreation as well. So connectivity to our existing parking lots. If we need new parking lots to access our recreation, people are going to bring up pickleball. Pickleball is a big need in town. So, I don't live in town, so my opinion doesn't count, but I would love to see an accessible trail. I think that, we have these gorgeous trails and we're upper middle class town. I think it's time to provide an accessible trail that everybody could use. So.
Yeah.
Especially, we've got an aging population. The senior center is saying that the seniors in town are going to get over 10% pretty soon. That's a representative slice of the pie. And, as Jim was saying, we've gotten calls of, there's nothing really to say. People are like, oh, I've been tripping on the trail. And it's like, well, we're not in the business of grading trails. That's not, the roughness actually slows water down, and provides habitat. And so, but it would be nice to have an accessible trail. My dream was at the Yellick area when we did that dog park thing, to make a nice, like, riverside accessible trail where people who have historically hiked and maybe have lost some mobility could go visit the river, could go visit the forest.
Yeah, we're going to try to put the bridge there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that could still happen someday, but it could happen anywhere. It could be along the aqueduct. It could be, there's lots of spaces, the back of McAfee Park. There's places for accessible trails, and that accessible trails will also provide like a bike route, not a mountain bike route, but like a little kid bike route.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've often thought there ought to be some options near the senior center. You've got parking. The only problem is there may be too much topography there. I don't know.
There's an
there's
existing
that walk
path.
around the ponds that's kind of neat, and I don't know how long an optimum trail would be, but that would be at least the start of one.
That would be a wonderful place. Yeah. To get in there and do a little grading, put down some the pea stone and sandstone, like a sub base. And so people get down there with a wheelchair, visit the pond.
You can base it on time it would take to walk it, like half-hour walk, hour walk, whatever that length is.
If you're mobility impaired, you don't want to go on a 2-hour hike,
Yeah.
You just want to get in the woods.
An hour's even long. Yeah, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, definitely the senior center. Even what was going to be the fourth and fifth hole of the disc golf course, right, kind of near Barefoot Road and where the train tracks are. There's a little section of forest in there that pretty flat. There's a couple little ponds there.
It's a great idea.
But there is some grade there. Getting back up the hill towards the senior center may exceed the ADA grade limit.
Hmm.
But yeah, I always thought, I mean, when we first were presented with the option of opening up the aqueduct for recreation, I mean, I think we had some discussions that could we pave it? You know, kind of like the Marlboro Rail Trail thing, you know, could we just pave the surface of the aqueduct, at least for maybe the part along Bartlett Street, maybe, or
Yeah,
that. But
that's
Oh,
a
the
great idea
whole-
too.
You mean the aqueduct trail? I thought you meant just the bridge over the river part.
no, well, that, I mean, that is paved. But yeah, you know, like the part behind Stirrup Brook where we were talking earlier about where they're going to put in the trucking center, the truck depot thing. But you know, that's a beautiful flat stretch, basically from Bartlett Street to Bartlett Street. You know, where
Mhm.
it crosses Bartlett twice. That would be fabulous.
Yeah,
Part
that's
of
a
it
great
goes
idea.
through a what is it, MISA, Massachusetts Endangered Species Act or something. There
Yep.
is a part there that, despite the fact there's a big trucking warehouse right there, there is a part that still has some endangered species. I don't think we pave that. But yeah, I think it's definitely McAfee Park is nice because there's a back loop. There's the paved loop at McAfee Park, but then there's a part that's grass that kind of goes down along the Assabet. And then the other side of the Assabet is the Westboro Conservation Land.
Mhm.
But then it loops around, and then it could actually come back up towards where the kiosk, not the kiosk, that little building there at Mac.
The gazebo.
The gazebo. That's it. I couldn't think of that word. Yeah, it comes back up towards where the gazebo is. So we could almost think of adding. There's that 1/3 of a mile paved loop at McAfee. And we could add maybe even another paved loop that goes kind of through the woods there.
So that brings me to my last bullet for tonight was the CPC applications are due in November. So I need to bring an application to your October meeting for your approval. So what I'm hearing is there is support for the accessible recreation department is also looking to put in like a bike loop accessible loopway. So I may move forward on that with her. She suggested the back of McAfee.
Oh, excellent.
The same place you're talking about, Bob, is putting a loop in there. So she and I, Allie Lane, she and I might work together to put together an application. Do you guys have any idea? Like, would you be in support of that? Not in support of that?
I
Sounds
would
good.
support that.
Definitely in support.
I think it makes sense at McAfee Park where there's already the skate park
Mhm.
and people on wheels.
And parking. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, on the flip side of that coin, Mia, I didn't really have any larger projects in mind that would require funding. I don't know if any other volunteers, you know, did. I think we still have quite a bit of money from our application a few years ago
Okay.
that we can use for, you know, lumber, and we bought that beautiful mower last year with it. But you know, so we have funds available. But if anyone, you know, I have old templates that I wrote, you know, that got approved. If anybody has an idea of things they want, whether it's like for signage or something like that, you know, I can send you an application. But yeah, I didn't have anything necessarily for this funding cycle. So yeah, unless there's anything else, I think we could wrap it up. I kind of forget our sign out procedure. I think, does each person have to state their name?
Yeah, just a motion to close, second it, and then roll call to close.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Okay. Motion approved to close the meeting, and just do a roll call of attendees. We can start with staff. Mia?
Back
Yeah, you can
unmuted.
close it.
Oh,
You don't have to worry
we
about
have,
me.
we have to say our names that we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I don't get to vote.
Oh, okay. So we'll close the meeting and just do a roll call to close the meeting. My name's Bob Mahalik. I'm the chairman of the Trails Committee. Forrest,
Am I supposed to sign off?
I
If
just
you're-
state your name.
If you're in favor of closing, just say your name and aye or
Okay.
no.
Morris Lyford.
I'd like to say hello to Brian Belfer and then also
Goodbye.
bye to Brian.
Oh, welcome.
Brian Belfer, aye. We can close the meeting.
We said lots of good things about you while you weren't there.
Cheryl,
Cheryl Devine, let's close the meeting.
Jim Stein,
Jim Stein, aye.
and Jim Klinkenberg.
Yes, but people, please look at all the mushrooms. I've never
Yeah.
seen
Are they
more.
out?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, they're
everywhere.
out all over the place.
Mhm.
Between Boundary Street and the picnic table. Well, this was a while ago, but I counted 56. I call them sightings. I don't count.
Wow.
I only if they're near each other and they're cousins or something. I don't count them. I mean, like so different mushrooms. I mean, they're all around in the woods these days.
Nice.
All right, well, just be careful what you eat there.
No.
Bob and Mia, do you guys
Okay,
have like
I
5 minutes
approve
to
of
just catch me
closing
up
the meeting.
on
Thank
everything I
you
missed?
all.
Hmm.
Yeah, Brian, I can hang on, Brian, for a little bit. Mia, could you stay for 5 minutes just to fill
Yeah.
Brian in?
Nice.
Okay. Anyone, meeting's closed. Technically, anyone who wants to sign off can. Bye, Cheryl.
Bye. Nice
Hello.
seeing y'all.
Oh,
See you